October 21st, 1989. Seance teaching with Reverend James Tingley and John Lilek.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Snow White.
This is little Snow White Tingley,
God bless you.
and I live in the spiritual world. Already your guides are assembling to teach you and to chemicalize you. As you have begun your lesson, you will learn from the Word of Spirit, the Word of God. The Word of God always precedes educational instruction. And as a teacher of the little guide, I want you to know that your little girl and the other guides that you will entertain are under my school.
Wonderful.
I love you,
I love you.
and I will grow with you.
Thank you.
And you will grow with me as we further our lessons.
Yes.
I'm a very serious teacher of the little folk.
Yes, you are, and a wonderful teacher.
The Word of God goes before us,
Yes.
and they assemble now to touch you. Soon the door will open, and in shall come the doctors, the chemists, and the gatekeepers.
Wonderful.
And they will come with instructions, and also with vital chemicalizations for you. Remember at all times that you are under the shadow of the Almighty, and that God will help you in your everyday walk of life. There's also sacrifices that one must make, and there are enjoyments that you will have that will surpass any sacrifice.
Yes.
Do you understand what I say?
Yes.
Of all the sacrifices that you make, you will be rewarded with greater joy in the future.
Yes.
That is helping humankind, your fellow man,
Yes.
bringing hope to those who have lost hope,
Yes.
bringing strength to those who are weak,
Yes.
bringing sight to those who are spiritually blind. When people walk upon your earth like you, who have great vision, physically, but they have no inner vision,
It's true.
you must be purified.
Thank you.
God bless you.
God bless you, sir.
Don't doors must open.
God bless you, Dr. Taylor. Good evening, Dr. Taylor.
Can you feel this wonderful vibration?
Wonderful.
I am so glad to open your path with these words.
Thank you.
Remember that we are setting the table. Not the table that is here in the room. It's the table of the future, my child. That there will be a great spread upon that table. Listen to my words, my son, as a teacher. The Reverend Tingley has gone in deep trance. I am now ushering in your Dr. Kramer and your Dr. Graham, Tulip, and Mose will speak this evening briefly. Remember, this is what number of lesson, do you recall?
5.
Thank you. You have to tell me.
5.
This is number 5.
I believe so. I've already checked and organized my library.
And remember that it is not going to be too long because you are a natural subject.
Thank you, Doctor.
I would wish you would keep this from all human ears.
I will.
Safeguard your teaching.
Yes.
Do you recall the first lesson that you had? Just by name.
Oh, concentration.
The law of concentration. It was told to you to remember the simplified version. that it was the ability of the individual to focus his attention upon a central object.
Yes.
Will you repeat this after me now?
Yes.
Concentration is what?
Concentration is the key.
Concentration is the key, and define it for me.
Is the key.
It is the ability
The ability
to focus
to focus
my attention
my attention
upon a central object.
upon a central object.
Concentration is the key to mediumship.
Yes.
Repeat this.
Concentration is the key to mediumship,
And it enters into a threefold series.
and it enters into a threefold series.
To concentrate is to focus one's attention
To concentrate is to focus one's attention
upon a central
upon a central
and singular object.
and singular object.
That object is your goal, my son.
Yes.
Your goal and achievement. Concentration can be very enjoyable, my son, because as concentration comes into your mind, it will settle your nerves when properly done. It will allow you to release tension and anxiety. It will allow to flow in a serum of spiritual energy that will open new doors and new horizons for yourself. You will begin to feel in a higher relative shelf of life than you've ever felt before. You will feel more creative, my son. And giving you these little hints in a simplified version so that you will know and have a knowledgeable understanding of your progress. I never allow a person to be led down blind alleys. I am a man, when I was upon the earth plane, who taught thoroughly. But I was teaching light and pathway in the path of light. I wanted each student to realize that the path of light is bright and brilliant, with many rewards, but it too has its sacrifices, my son. Those sacrifices shouldn't become burdensome to you. No demands will be placed upon you that you cannot achieve. Will you repeat this? No demands will be placed upon me that I cannot achieve. Think of that just thoroughly for a moment. It is readily understood, isn't it?
Yes.
Of course, if you are a person who is in a wild and temptatious source, it will be even more difficult for you to achieve this greatness. You understand that?
Yes.
Then what do? You say to Dr. Taylor, I overcome it by a higher thought or level of thinking. Will you say that?
Yes.
I overcome
by
a higher thought
and
higher thinking.
I
do not just count to 10. Repeat that.
I do not just count to 10.
I overcome it immediately. I push it behind me and forget it as a forgotten, nothingness. It does not exist, though in thought it was born, in thought it also dies. Isn't that wonderful, son?
Yes, it's very wonderful. Thank you.
Though in thought it is born, though in thought it dies.
Though in thought it dies.
So when any depressive thought comes to your mind, try to use this principle that I'm teaching you tonight in the law of perception. Perceive. I perceive that you will master these laws readily, son. I just don't teach at random.
I understand.
We have looked up your scale of thought, and we find that you readily adapt yourself rather easily to situations.
Yes.
If you can see something done, you can master it.
Yes.
We will show you from the spirit side of life how it is done, son.
Wonderful.
We will protect you when you are weak, if you call upon us.
Yes.
When in your holy Bible that you read these key words, knock and the door shall be opened unto you, certainly you know that you must make the effort of knocking.
Yes.
Not just thinking, but working skillfully. Expecting to make a mistake or two now and then, but readily understand that that mistake can be reconciled.
Yes.
You will repeat, all mistakes
All mistakes
can be reconciled.
can be reconciled.
That is wonderful. That is called overcoming. Of course, it is to be reminded to you that you cannot make these mistakes purposely, and expecting that just a little thought of forgiveness or something like this knowingly will do it every time. That doesn't work that way, son.
That's right.
Once having made the mistake and then reconciling it doesn't mean that you can repeat it from time to time. That is logical and it is reasonable. And it is fair. You have at your side many able guides and teachers that we're very proud of, son.
I am very proud.
Call upon them mentally.
Yes.
They live in a house called thought. Thought power is the greatest activity of the mind. Will you repeat that? Thought is the greatest activity of the mind.
Thought is the greatest activity of the mind.
So let your thoughts be of grandeur and of beauty as best possible you can.
Of grandeur and beauty.
Expect as long as you're on the earth plane that you will oft times walk in the shadows sometimes. But that doesn't make you remain in the shadows.
The shadows.
I use the term shadows symbolically, son. You will not always have days of sunshine, isn't that true?
That is true.
Symbolically, I mean, days will not always be easy to go through.
That's true.
There will be problems, basically speaking, because you're still in the physical body and living in the physical world. But knowing what my teachings are, you will be able to overcome the majority of those problems. Do you understand me?
Yes.
Because you have guiding influences.
Yes. All to my guides.
Go to pause to remind you that as I'm teaching you right now, the past few moments, there has been direct and is direct chemicalization going through your mind, body, spirit, and soul. Are you aware of this?
Yes. Yes.
So this is a three-way proposition, son. We have on record your beautiful attempt to sermonize last Tuesday, and it was recorded well.
Thank you.
A good start.
Yes.
But let that start be a primer.
Yes.
It's only a brief beginning. Never be satisfied with nothing but the best, my son. Never be a poor man. It is not necessary to be a poor man. Are you listening to Dr. Taylor?
Oh, yes, Dr. Taylor. Yes, I am.
Remember these words always, son. A poor man's table is soon spread. Can you visualize what I'm teaching you? A poor man's table is soon spread. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Do you know the meaning of that proverb?
Being.
What do I mean by a poor man's table is soon spread?
It's soon cleared.
Spread. When you spread the table for someone to come and dine with you, if you have lots of things and lots of supplies, it takes time, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Because you have an overplentiful supply.
Yes.
And they always say, what a spread they put out. Isn't that right?
Yes.
That means lavishly. I don't want you to ever be a poor man in thought.
No.
Because I just gave you the definition. A poor man's table is soon spread. You see the light in my teaching now?
Yes. Yes.
You are a rich man. Always hold this in mind. Not only in monetary values, not only in thought values, but in spiritual values and spiritual supply. Now remember to repeat, a poor man's table is soon spread.
A poor man's table is soon spread.
Means that he doesn't have much to put on there.
So it is spread quickly.
There isn't much to partake of.
That's true.
But we shall be a rich man in spirituality. Our gains will be great. For at this time there is flowing through you power, my son.
Thank you.
Can you feel this mighty vibration?
Yes. Yes, I can.
Right now, the chemical medicine. Yes, you were taught the law of concentration on the first lesson. Then on the second or third lesson, you were taught about the image of God.
Visualize the image to see the light, the bright light of Christ.
Wonderful, my son. To envision, to see before you the white light of God. And I surround it over my medium at this meeting right now and yourself as a student. Keep your aims high, my son.
Yes.
Your goal superior. Your fleshly needs will be supplied. Your mortal needs will be supplied automatically, son. Be not a person that is dressed with the naked flesh, striving only for things that are corporeal, that don't last only for a day. Strive for those values in life that are everlasting, my son. Those values that you can share with others. You have able guides through the law of attraction that will verse you upon subjects of greater importance. Now I'm going to remain in the room with you. remember, it is not how long you stay in the seance room, it's what happens while you're in here.
That's right. That's so true.
You've done a good starting point, my son. You will find increasing power coming to your heart in life.
Thank you.
When you are in need of spiritual strength, enter the seance room for at least 6 moments. Don't go to 6, 12, or 18, or 36. It isn't the length of time, son. It's the contact with God that counts.
Yes. That's true.
An exercise I teach you. When you come in silence alone in the seance room, when you are low in spirit, place your right hand upon your solar plexus while seated and say, Pax Vobiscum.
Pax Vobiscum.
Now press it there gently, son. Remember, it is a central mind. When you say Pax Vobiscum, what do you mean?
There is light up there.
It means this in mediumship, son. Peace be still.
Peace be still. Peace be
Is your right hand on your solar plexus now?
Stop. Still. Peace.
Gently say Pax Vobiscum.
Pax Vobiscum.
What you have said to the Lord is peace be still.
Be still.
If you have been disquieted by trouble throughout the day or what problem ever it may be, it flows through your fingertips right then and there. Just only for a few seconds after you have said Pax Vobiscum, you will release it, as you will release it now. And say, so mote it be.
So will it be.
You have touched the central nerve system. It has sent that message to every vital organ of your body. It takes effect immediately, son. And then be on your way to life, or whatever duties you are to do.
Thank you, Doctor. I've never had it explained that deep as you have spoken now. Thank you.
And you like it?
Yes. Yes. Truly.
It works, my son, like a magic wand, so as to speak. Beautiful are the words of Pax Vobiscum, because they mean peace be still. The master who walked before you often used his hands more than any part of his body.
There's great healing.
And his great words of wisdom were, peace be still. When I say peace be still, I have automatically said Pax Vobiscum. My child, let this peace enter your system now. Can you feel it coming?
Yes. Relax.
My son, we know that you're living in a physical world. You have to make a living. Don't be carried away in thought constantly with psychic matters. Put them on the shelf. Concentrate upon the job that you're doing. And then at the end of that job, it is then time just to give a very quick thank you, Divine Spirit, for the source of supply.
Yes, I'll do that.
Otherwise, don't overbalance your load with psychic talk all the time, my son. Balance the scale evenly.
Understood.
This doesn't mean going from the sublime to the ridiculous.
I understand. I know I go to
Moderation in all things, my son. This does not mean denying yourself a physical life of happiness and concern. which you will have in the outrun, it will mean greater happiness, because self-control, measurement of concern, will take its balance correctly upon the scale. Very normal, happy life can be led when we learn these lessons together in this seance room. We shall teach you every one of them.
Thank you.
And during your teaching period, we ask you just to be more keenly aware of spiritual laws. Then at the graduation point, you will know how to enforce them yourself. Isn't that wonderful?
Wonderful. I want to serve God in the highest forms that I possibly could.
Your presence here indicates that, my son. We shall be very disappointed if you were to take up our time for folly and fancy. We do not believe that you are doing so.
Oh, I would disappoint myself also.
Yourself is the greater God of being, myself. My dear friend of earth, I live in spirit embodiment. To master these laws, son, you will find the greatest happiness that you have ever found in your life. You will have more physically and abundance more automatically. But don't stress upon the avaricious side of it. Do you understand what I mean by the avaricious side?
To be honest, no, Doctor.
Say avaricious.
Avaricious?
Means greed.
Greed.
Do not be greedy.
I understand.
Can you say avaricious for doctor?
Avaricious.
Means what?
Greedy.
Right.
No, I did not.
A-V-A-R-I-C-E.
Avaricious.
Avarice.
Avarice.
Or avariciousness. It's greediness. Let no avarice come into your life that will rob you of your goals. Oh, there will be temptations galore, my son. But we have studied you rather thoroughly. I think that you can push aside temptations rather easily.
Yes. I go with the feeling of my guide standing behind me as if they were whispering in my ears what to say, or
What a
just,
wonderful thought.
or as just the feeling of strength behind.
You may not know this, but you have been guided before you have come into this contact.
Yes, I felt that before. In my works,
Because the thoughts of the great hereafter have been with you for many years.
yes.
A wonderment of that.
It's like putting the pieces of a puzzle together.
It had to take just that certain time for you to come in immediate contact.
Yes.
We bless the young lady that showed you a great light. She is a teacher also now, isn't she?
She certainly is. Yes.
Do not forget it. I don't see any mutual relationships between you physically, and I do see a spiritual and friendly bond between you.
Yes.
Have I defined this correctly?
Absolutely, Doctor. Absolutely. Very accurate.
The spirit world will supply you with happiness, my son,
That is wonderful.
at the right time, when that time comes. But until then, let us reach higher and higher and higher. Never with the thought of sacrifice, but willingness. I teach you this now. I'm not denying myself of these things, and I'm not making a sacrifice. I'm working toward the ultimate end of goodness. That's the way you should think, my son.
Yes.
But watch out for those snares that are placed before you by mortal men. Isn't that right?
That is right.
Do you know what Doctor just said?
To to go and look.
Beware of the snares and the traps that are placed before you by mortal man.
Avoid those if possible, but act as a true spiritualist.
Overcome them.
Overcome.
Put them in their place,
Yes.
honestly, without venomous poisoning of the tongue.
With tact.
I do not like a venomous tongue, my son. For the words of God come smoothly and with beauty, and the power of God comes strong and with sustaining power. So you need not have to boil yourself up to an aggregate of temper. Let this be smooth, soft, clear in tone, and exact in meaning, to set the negative forces in place. Isn't that wonderful, son?
Yes, that is wonderful, Doctor.
A gentle wind is more powerful than a raging storm. Remember that always.
This beautiful philosophy.
The center of the hurricane is without turbulency. There is no destructive power in the core or the eye of the hurricane. Did you know that, son?
Yes, it's the outer forces.
It's the fringe end.
Yes.
When the power becomes separated from its wholesome core, the spreading of it is aimless pathway, shattering from here to there in thunder. A thunder. Boats dashing without any power or target. That's comprehensible, isn't it, son?
Yes.
So when you meet situations of having to overcome them, be gentle and to the point and exact. My grandfather used to teach me this, son. Don't go around Robin's barn to make your point. Robin's barn is don't beat around the bush.
Yes. Say it with tact.
And with gentleness, but with truthful meaning.
Yes. Means more strength in those words.
Be honest, my son, in your dealings with your fellow man. This is a virtue of mediumship. Honest in your dealings, fairness of mind. You will enjoy great rewards from that alone. This is one of the steps of mediumship also. It separates you from a medium and a medium. There are those who have mediumship, my child, who only go to a certain plane of contact, and they can reach no farther. You don't want this type of mediumship, do you?
Oh, I want to grow to the highest peaks.
I'm teaching you that there are mediums who only get to certain levels and they stop.
That's right.
They can't reach any higher. Is that comprehensible?
Very comprehensible.
You don't want to be that type of a medium.
By no means, Doctor.
We are not that kind of teachers.
We are high teachers. Of higher
We will raise you high. Abide with us in faith, son.
Yes.
Honesty. Are you an honest man, my son?
Yes.
In all your dealings. Are you an honest man?
Doctor, in some things I might make cover-ups to protect in that respect, but
Be honest with your teachers.
with my friends here, Jim, and I must.
I'm not teaching James and Ann at this time. I'm teaching you, my son. Be honest
I am
in
resigned.
your own way of honesty. I believe when you can tell me I am an honest man and will be, I will be satisfied. You are an honest man.
Yes, I am an honest man, Doctor.
Thank you, my son.
Thank you.
Isn't that beautiful to hear over the ether?
Yes.
You don't know how wonderful it is to my ears, of spirit, to hear you say,
It is my pleasure to say that, Doctor.
live it, my son.
Yes.
The rewards will be great for you. We are not making compromises with you, my son.
I understand.
You cannot bargain with God.
That is so true.
You can't make a deal with spirit, honey. There's a man who's calling you honey child, standing here.
Master Mose.
And I shall remain in this room to chemicalize you.
Wonderful, Dr.
I am
Taylor.
finished with my theoretical version.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. That was wonderful.
Dr. Taylor. Master Mose.
God bless you, Master
My
Mose.
honey child.
God bless you.
My honey child.
God bless you.
My boy. My worker of the future. I have good news for you.
That is wonderful, Master Mose.
In the next 2-3 days of your material time, I has met Lily and me, Johnson. I has met men to do.
Wonderful.
The lives that untouched them.
That is wonderful.
And tonight I has an announcement for you.
Beautiful. That is
It
wonderful.
is not going to be in this class today, but you is going to have a seance with Master Jim and Miss Hart
Wonderful.
and Miss Lillian Johnson.
Wonderful.
He's going to fetch a mandaloo here.
Oh, my God. That
I'm
is
not going to tell you. A big molasses surprise. But I was happy what they want to do.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And I don't want you to do no guessing for it.
I understand.
Because when I go down to that creek to fish, I don't wish. Take a big bite, hug sweet. When I feel that first nibble upon that cane pole, I know I was in striking distance. With some you was in striking distance.
Thank you. That is wonderful.
Does you know what Master Mose is teaching?
You just told me that. Master Mose.
Yes, tells you nothing, honey.
Well,
Master Mose tells you nothing.
well, you taught me.
Master Mose tells you something good.
Very good.
Keep a secret, my son, with Master Mose.
I certainly
I'm
will.
done giving you a theory.
It's a beautiful theory, Master Mose.
I suspect it's a big fish in the pond.
That's wonderful.
Is I ever clever?
Yes, you are, Master Mose.
I've so been looking for a big strike. Because you has planted thoughts over the ether. I have received them.
Thank you, Master Mose. I am blessed to have
You had good people like Reverend Hart here.
Yes,
She your friend.
yes. She certainly is.
In the church.
Yes.
She no late friend. I
No,
doesn't mean that kind of friend.
I understand.
I knows about that kind of life too.
Yes.
I knows it. And I knows other things about your life, but I is in accord with you. If I wasn't in accord with you, I would come tell you so.
That is true.
My honey child, most knows about a lot of things that you don't think I do know. But Master Mose will tell you if you were doing wrong, what do you think of that?
I would want it that way. I'd want it.
That's the way it is, my son.
Yes.
You're my honey child.
You're my master.
Wonderful. We just done going fishing from London.
That's wonderful.
Allah, sir.
That's a beautiful catch. She's a beautiful catch.
You was going to be happy then. Master Mose was happy about your sermon.
Thank you, Master Mose.
It wasn't good enough for me.
I understand.
But funny, Master Mose is going to help you give the second one, and the third one is going to be a great big bubbly one.
Wonderful.
It will be a Sunday night go meeting time. Now don't you go telling the Rev.
I understand.
Don't tell the Rev about this.
I will not. I won't tell him.
Oh, he's a smart man.
Yes, he is.
I see him today, and I don't want to tell him I've been sneaking in on him. I see him today. He's made something a lot of this and that. Just see him with a masterful flow of words.
Oh, yes. Very
I
good.
see him giving a good sermon today.
Beautiful, wasn't it?
I don't care about the crowd. The crowd don't bother me, Lord. I'd rather speak to at least 6 or 7 children of God
That's right.
than I would 700
That's right.
hypocrites.
That is so true. And it was
Remember the sands of time, my son. Master Moses walked those sands of time. You want me to teach you something about the sand?
Yes. Yes.
Remember, you see a lot of sand along your way of progress to you. You can't plant anything in sand to make it grow, you know that.
Oh,
And there isn't always a lot of gold in a lot of sand, is that right? You have to sand it out.
that's right.
Master Bo teaching you.
Yes.
Now I'm not talking about real sand. You know, I'm philosophizing.
Yes.
I'm using this as an example. You understand those?
Oh, yes. That's most.
Master Bo teaching you this. You say after me now, like Dr. Taylor make you say after him. You going to obey me?
Yes, I'm going to obey you, Master Moses.
Say, Master Bo said, in every part of sand.
In every part of sand.
Every part of sand. Now speak it right, son.
In every part of sand.
Every part, like a pot.
Every part is a part.
No, he said every pot.
Every pot.
In every pot of sand.
In every pot of sand.
In every pot of sand,
In every pot of sand.
there is a little gold.
There is a little gold.
So remember that. Thank you, Mr. Booth.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Doc. I was glad to
Thank you,
help you.
Master Moses.
Now I'll be on my way.
You coming back this river?
Yes, I am. But you go on with your son.
No, she is a beautiful soul. She done told me carry on. Carry on, my son, for Master Moses. He's a walking close by me. He's going to sit down by the river. Beneath that shady tree. That old sun grows keep on burning. Up there in the sky, with old Master Moses and his honey child. Just going right up, right up. It's just going to pass that time away of working and thought and graduating together with spirit. Master Moses won't have a lot of little children to teach them how the arithmetic of life is spent. How to count those watermelon seeds, honey.
That's wonderful.
How to plant that corn and cotton.
Wonderful.
How to trade and bother the old slave land. How to cheat. But cheat right.
Right. That's all right.
The only way Master Moses is going to cheat is when I know we gets the God end of it.
That is so true. I believe it.
Hey, little cheating is necessary in life. Ah, that's an honest man.
Yes, you are, Master.
Any man who says he don't cheat a little is just a lie. Lying through his soul. Isn't that right, son?
That is right, Master Moses.
We cheat the white man out of bargaining for our flesh. But we love him because we has to. But we teach him now that he was wrong for selling our hides to the cotton field. Tied us up with chains. You can be tied up by chains, son, in mind as well as body.
That is right.
Your mind could be tired out, son, of all the rubbish you have to go through in life. But son, stick to Master Moses. I will philosophize.
That's wonderful. Looking
I
forward
is
to
proud of you, son.
I am blessed to have a teacher as you.
You has been a favorite child of ours for some time. You has been on our side.
Yes.
I respect you for that, son. I says, white man, they many white men, they are on our side too.
There are.
Your partner, what's his name, Master Jim,
Yes. Tingley.
he is on our side too.
Yes, he is.
Belong to the soul side of that.
Yes.
Master Bose belongs to the soul society.
Yes.
Master John belongs to the soul society. We're going to save souls.
Wonderful.
We are planting soul cotton.
Wonderful.
Down in that valley, down where the people see. Down in that valley, you hear those dolphins scream.
Wonderful.
Down, Lord, everyone is dirty. Down in that valley, we will not be brave. Just gently roll on. That's the most happy scene.
Thank you. I would love to sing with you, Master Rose.
That's the most she's going to be. Make my children see. Sort of liberty with me. Master Moses is going to plant his cotton field. Master Moses here.
Yes. Beautiful, Master Rose.
I was going to teach you how to let that come out of your belly. Ring it like that.
That's wonderful.
You like to hear me?
Yes.
I was chanting the words of the Lord.
Yes. So beautiful.
Wouldn't me and be surprised if he hunted you can't play it back for him though.
Yes, he would.
You've been surprised tonight too.
I certainly have. That was a beautiful, beautiful word.
Those are real Negro songs.